Before we get to how this scripture can practically apply to our marriage and start taking these walls down, we got to spill the beans. I got to tell a serious story about something that really caused a problem early in our marriage where we started to put these walls up. So something you got to realize about me and Meg, we're different, especially young. We got married really young.
We did.
21 and 20 years old.
Yeah.
And so I'm coming off 3 years of dorm life, living in a college dorm, and then I lived in an apartment with 2 guys, okay?
This teeny tiny little apartment.
So my life and routine and cleanliness habits probably weren't the same as hers at the time.
Safe to say.
So we get this house for the first time in our life, and there's all this work that has to be done.
Sure.
You got to mow the grass, shovel snow. So I'm learning all this stuff, doing it at my house for the first time. But I remember something vividly. We would have dinner every day around the same time. But after dinner, I wanted to just kind of leave everything on the table and the dishes in the sink, and I wanted to just kind of sit down for 30 minutes or 45 minutes before we clean the kitchen. But Meg and Rhea, no, she did not want to do that.
I'm not wired that way, y'all. I'm a very visual person. I like order. And so to have that there, it was stressing me out. So I couldn't, you just wanted to relax. And I'm like, I literally can't relax knowing that I need to get up and do that.
So we were like kind of at a standstill. We're a little bit stubborn. So I'm like, well, I'm going to put a brick up and I'm going to go sit down for 30 minutes and then I'll come back and do my part. Here's the problem. Megan couldn't sit down, so she'd end up cleaning the kitchen by herself after dinner. And I thought at the time, oh, she's just trying to love me and respect me. And she wants me to have that rest. While she's going, I can't believe.
I'm putting my own brick up. You know, maybe I'm doing it, but my attitude is like, I can't believe she's sitting there, blah, blah, blah. I'm slamming cabinet doors and, you know.
And one night.
It was great.
It exploded.
It did.
And the walls that were built up, now something simple. And it was one of our first fights in marriage. We both can remember it. We both said things to each other that hurt each other.
I have regrets to this day about what I said to you.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
I don't really remember.
That's so
I
good.
do. But I'm just going to, it's gone. It's out of there. But we hurt each other.
Yeah.
And so we learned from that moment. And by the way, she was right about this. Like, it's always better to clean the kitchen right after dinner and then have the rest of your evening. That is our routine now, and I'm like that now. So,
well, I think that's a
kudos
compromise,
to you.
right? That's definitely a compromise, and you're like, oh, I enjoy this compromise.
I do so much. So her neat freak has rubbed off on me in a lot of ways. So how do we practically apply this to our life when we both begin to build walls up? How do we use this scripture to kind of bring these walls down?
You know, I think a really practical way is getting in the habit of asking each other regularly, is there anything that I've done recently to put a barrier between us? And then, friend, prepare your heart because your spouse may have a few things that they have on their radar that you've done that's offended them, that's hurt them. And so when we ask these questions, it's not from a place of, I can't wait to disprove everything you're about to say and get defensive, right? Is there anything that I've actually done? No, it's coming from it humbly going, I'm going to place the relationship above my desire to be right or justified in this. And babe, is there anything that I've done that's going to build this wall between us? And then be ready to receive it humbly and talk through it calmly.
Right. Because it can turn into really easy. Well, the reason I did that was because you did this. And if you did this the first time I asked you, I wouldn't have to nag you and I wouldn't have to do this. And blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And you'd go back and forth. No. That's building more walls. Remember, we're trying to tear the walls of hostility, the scripture says, by the Spirit of God. And remember, the Spirit of God, the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy and peace and patience.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's not forget that that's all part of the fruit of the Spirit. So when you ask, how are we doing? Be prepared to answer that question. And just be safe. And talk through. What else, Meg? What are other practical applications here?
Another one I would say is deal with the offense quickly and don't wait for a whole wall to start. You know, you can dismantle things pretty quickly when they're done brick by brick, right? But if something is built up over years or months even, it's going to take longer. So deal with the offense quickly. Now, quickly doesn't mean immediately. Sometimes people solve conflicts at different paces. You might have somebody that like wants to solve it right now. And you also might have somebody that needs to process a little bit so they can formulate what they actually want to say versus what their first response might be, which may not be healing or healthy for the relationship, right? So giving each other a minute, saying, hey, these tensions are high. Let's come back to this in an hour, in tomorrow morning. And you set a time, and then you actually come back and resolve that thing.